Happy Halloween, everybody. If we make it that far, I'll play some Castlevania on the NES Classic Edition. Had something else planned, but plans change, as the old saying goes. So I figured played some Castlevania, while at the same time trying to fall asleep. So it's 2:30 a.m. at the moment. Try to get this quickly as possible. So if I sound a little under the weather, that's why. Regardless, we're going to be playing some Castlevania. Blow these torches through to get your basic power set up. Upgrade that leather whip to a thing. Got the money thing, which I almost never get that money secret. Sometimes I miss and I trigger the entering of the gate. So, we got some zombies to kill. Your generic grunt enemy. They only show up for this one particular block of stages. The black cats, black wolves, or whatever they used to be called. They will charge at you when you get in close, as you had just seen. They also only appear for this one stage, actually, and never appear again. The famous holy water, or Firebomb as it was called, because of religious concerns. Though, to be honest, Firebomb isn't inaccurate. You toss it, it explodes. Useful for... It is the veterans vampire killer's signature weapon, I guess, for Castlevania players of the old school ilk, because it can produce many hits, especially once you have the double and triple shots, as we have acquired here. I just use it for zombies to get extra points, because I figured why not. I got enough time. When you know this level well enough, you tend to take certain liberties, so we're going to grind for points here in a double, triple shot thing. And I'm just going to go straight up. Trying to... Thing with the old school Castlevanias is that to execute a sub-weapon, you press up and B. And sometimes it doesn't work all that well, when you're on the stairs at least. Okay, took a couple of hits. Didn't need to get that crucifix, but there you go. The flashing effect on the NES Classic Edition has been muted somewhat to prevent seizures. However, if this bothers you, you could play Castlevania on a variety of other non-Nintendo produced methods. The Konami's Castlevania Anniversary Collection has full seizure-inducing bright light. Just saw the vampire bats. They swoop in. If they touch you, they will die, but they will also hurt you. We've got the mermen that will jump out of the water and shoot fireballs at you and walk off the ledge. So another would-be secret, as is the meat that everybody... Well, you can't really call it a meat because everybody knows that now. But it was originally a hidden trinket. Very dry, very boring exposition. That's okay, because it's late, and I'm tired. And I can't sleep, so... I play an old 30-plus-year-old video game to try and fall asleep, and it's not working, but hey... I'm enjoying the ride, regardless. Invincibility potion, those are rare items. Axe. You toss the axe in an arc. Useful for airborne enemies. We're going to kill some zombies first, because I want to try and get a double shot. This is a recent strategy that I've decided to employ for some reason. In recent years. Okay, I'd like for it to go on the bottom level, because it's impossible for me to reach that point. Unless I have cheats from a Game Genie device, which I don't think exists on this NES Classic Edition. It is an unlicensed peripheral, after all. We know we don't want the holy water. We're never going to want holy water on this run, kids. There we go, got a double shot. Now I know there's a double shot at the end of this hallway, with the battle with the Phantom Bat, which is a really big bat. swoops around, shoots fireballs, and swoops in on you. I want to get the double shot so we could get a triple shot. Toss a shitload of... Ooh, that's a close call, actually. So we could toss a bunch of axes in a really fast rate of fire and deal with them very quickly. And then you grab the crystal ball and you move on to the next stage. And I'm going to take a sip. It's a lemon tea, by the way. That usually helps in putting me to sleep. Now we got the Black Knight, and we got my favorite weapon, the cross. You toss it in one direction, and it will come back to you. We have the crown. One of those treasureful trinkets that are a little more rare than the money bag, but regardless. That's the Boomerang that we just saw in action. The Black Knight only goes back and forth. It does not really do anything else. Wanted to go the other way. There we go. A little tricky to use sub-weapons on the stairs, but regardless, we shall endeavor to move onwards. Got a double shot and a triple shot in a couple of seconds. And the knight has gone into the vortex. Very exciting stuff. If you've skipped the beginning portion, you missed my warning. Medusa Heads. Medusa Heads in Castlevania are actually a little more easier to dodge. They just go in a wavy fashion that you could just walk by them, as we'll demonstrate in the later portion of the game. But the wonderful thing about Medusas is that they will not spawn when you're on stairs. Like, Medusas and bats will not spawn when you're on the stairs, so that's pretty helpful. And it's a little subtle key moment for you to prepare. So when you're going into a new hallway, once you're off the stairs, I should say, then you'll get a Medusa head or a vampire bat heading your way. You know, later games will obviously change this. A little dance there to the jam. As you can see, I'm just walking by the Medusa Heads. Medusa Heads are a little more easier to dodge here if you have a flat surface. Now, if you're on an uneven surface, that's a different story, and if there's a lot of stuff going on, ideal situations, you could just walk by them. Simply walk by them. Now, we've got these insta-kill crushers that appeal in only one part of the game, and that's it. Not particularly tricky, you just got to get the timing down. I do want to try and get a run with no deaths. That would be greatly appropriate. And we got the dragon cannons. Fairly standard Castlevania enemy. They take 6 hits from your fully charged Morning Star vampire killer whip thing. Just climb the stairs, avoid the ghost. Ghost does not deserve our attention. It does not matter at all. The crucifix, and again, got this little thing. Nothing of notes in these candles. And now we're going to face off against the Queen Medusa, which is a giant floating head that will shoot snakes and move around in it's a wavy pattern. Make short work of them with the Boomerang. You could do this with the holy water. You could do a lot of things with holy water that completely break the game, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful. Anywho, on to the next level. Good old Wicked Child. We don't mention much of how wonderful the music in Castlevania is. Should probably that point things. Now, instinctively, I would go for holy water. We're not going to do that here. We're going to stick with the cross. Oh, God bless, we're going to stick with the cross. When you've played this game for so long, and and it's difficult to... Oh, that's hard. It's difficult to change your usual play style. when you play it for so long and you're used to it, playing it a certain way, and sometimes you want to adjust the strategy or whatever the case may be, just to sort of challenge yourself, or at least make the experience somewhat different, if nothing else. Got the ravens. They will swoop in on you. They die on contact when you... If they touch you, they will die, but they will also hurt you, so you may want to kill them before they touch you. They have a somewhat erratic pattern, but nothing too... You know, you just gotta keep an eye out. It's gonna be tricky. Usually I have fire... Oops. Maybe if I did this. There you go. Bye, skeleton. Hope you, well, you're not gonna survive that fall anyways, so... And I really don't care, because we're gonna move on to the next stage. Yep. So we're gonna strike these candles here. Like so. Get the big heart. And we're just going to walk by the Medusas here. Like I said, they have a very simple wavy pattern that you just walk by on the flat surface. Now, just climb up the stairs. Fucking hell. Well, so much for that. Yeah, money bag. Yeah, not the best game down being played here. So, we shall endeavor. Yeah, see... I'm an idiot. I forgot I got like a triple shot thing, so I could shoot more fucking boomerangs. I apologize. Actually, no I don't. It's late, I want to go to bed. But I can't sleep. If I try to go to bed now, I'm just gonna stare at the ceiling and then eventually pass out. I would like very much not to do that. Regardless, we shall keep going. Anyways, this next stage is Baron of Candles. So, if you die here, you have this one candle to give you like the short chain. But you only have the ravens to rely on for pickups. By the way, this is a miserable performance right off the bat. I usually don't go in with this low health. Fucking hell. Jesus. I'm amazed the skeletons haven't knocked me into the fucking pit at this point. Okay, so this is what I like about the cross. I don't have to go in close with the cross. I could just like sort of whiff it. And so I got that dagger. We don't want the dagger. We want to stick with the cross. Well, actually, most folks would rather stick with the holy water, but we're going to stick with the cross. Because I like the cross. Because then you could do cool shit like this. So the mummies move around and they shoot wrappings at you, and they're really tall and they're hard to really dodge. But you could just kill them like that instantly. With the proper timing and such. It's a much more satisfying, quick death for those mummies. I mean, those poor things. They just move around. They shoot their wrappings. They don't mean any harm. They deserve to go down fighting, you know? Now, we're going to switch to this anniversary clip. This is how people play Castlevania these days with the holy water. And they just toss it like that and stun the mummies like that. And come on, it looks like they're enjoying a little campfire, huh? All that's missing is the fucking marshmallows. Wow, what a way to go. What a master gamer you are. Okay, back to the proper clip. How exciting. Holy water breaks the game once you play without it. So that you survive the drop that we normally wouldn't survive. With the bat. This is usually a tricky part because of the bat. Key is to actually jump over the fucking bat. Try not to land in the water. And just, you know, go on like that. Swing on the merman. No. Actually, I'm feeling a little more conscious, which is actually even worse. Probably should have played something a little more boring. Probably should have played Symphony of the Night or something. That would have put me to sleep. Shots fired? Not necessarily. One of these days, we'll get around to that. Hopefully sometime this year. Which was the idea, but, you know, plans change and all that. As you avoid the platforms, like the only real heavy platform segment, aside from like the earlier part in the game. I always like this effect, this emerging from the ground, climbing the stairs. I don't particularly care for this level, because it has the eagles and the hunchbacks. But it's not all that bad, because the first eagles on the bottom you could sort of like whip away. And if you take your time, they actually dropped a lot of power-ups. Which is good, because there's no candles on the stage at all. And you really need those power-ups to upgrade. So we're just going to keep going along the way, and I'll go about our merry way. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward, very boring level, actually. The key is to just sort of strike the hunchbacks before they hit the ground, or at least before they start moving. They will never drop at a distance, they will always drop in front of you. Now I got these guys fairly... with the right weapon, the skeleton dragons are actually easy to dispose of. But otherwise, and they only move like, their heads only move like up or down. They don't weave all over the place like they would in later games. It actually makes them a little more easier. Not so much, I don't want to say easier, but, simpler, I should probably say. Whip the candles, fairly straightforward. Wave the things up and down. That's gone. Now the bane of many gamers, unless you have holy water, the creature and Igor. The creature moves around. The real threat is from Igor, who's a hunchback that bounces around and throws fireballs all over the place. But if you hit him, you stun him, which is an effective strategy if you have a useful weapon, like I do. Of course, if you use holy water to stun the creature, Igor never leaves the creature's shoulder, so it's an effective strategy to break the game, as I have said numerous times. Holy water is only an effective weapon because it breaks the game. And as time would go on, holy water would become less of an effective weapon because it's less of a broken weapon. Like sometimes the flames will move forward but won't hit as many times and that sort of thing. So, in these older games, even in Super Castlevania 4, the holy water is still, with double and triple shots, still a very game-breaking weapon. A bit of a trick here. Probably gonna take a fucking asshole. I'm usually a lot better at this. I'm clearly out of practice. It's only been like a couple of months since I gave this a good firm. Mind you, I'll be honest with you. Like every once in a while, I like to go into the ROM hacking bits, and I've been ROM hacking this game quite a bit, just for out of personal enjoyment. You walk into a wall, a 1-up emerges. Classic trick that I only discovered like years later. Got the blood skeletons, or the red skeletons as the game calls them. You hit them, you get a few points, they come back to life, you hit them again. There's no Sypha to freeze them and break them apart. You have to kill them, and then you have to deal with them when they come back to life. And, it doesn't go any farther than that. Cross Boomerang in Castlevania I has less of a reach going forward than it does in Castlevania 3. Which I think covers the edge. Which only hits the edge of the screen and then moves back, I believe. I could be wrong. Now we got the Axe Knights. A perhaps the most intimidating regular enemy because they're basically a tank that moves back and forth and shoot axes at you. But the thing with the axes is that you could, if you have a full-on chain, you could strike them whether they're going up or down. Castlevania 3, the hit detection on the axes is a little more precise. So you actually have to crouch to kill the lower axes. Here you just, hit, will away whatever. So they're less of a threat than they appear to be, but they're still pretty intimidating, especially if you only have a leather whip, where they take plenty of hits. They tend to back away too. If you try to shoot crosses at them, they just bounce away until you break the shield, which I kind of like the sound design here. Because if enemies have a shield or armor, there's a nice clink sound. But if they don't have armor, they just have the usual just like sound that you get when you kill an enemy or just kill anything for that matter. You sort of lose that with Castlevania 3, where they just use the same armor clinking sound effect, and it sounds really, really bad. I don't want to say really, really bad. It's a nice classic sound effect there, but... You know. Anyways. There's really no point going up here because I already have the triple shot, but... I don't know, just for a lark. Money bag. I could go for another 100 points. I think there's another one up somewhere, but whatever. Never. Could be wrong. Walk into another wall, but really, who cares? So, got another Axe Knight here. They back up into a wall, and they get stuck. Or they get stuck. You can't go back any farther than a wall, so you can't go through solid matter. We'll demonstrate this again as it respawns, of course. I guess not. Yeah, see? Respawn. Nice little respawn. Boom. Off. Good. Now, when I was a younger fellow, I didn't realize that damage was done based on stage progression. Normally, damage is done based on the enemy. In Castlevania, and Castlevania 3, at least locally, damage is done by stage progression. So the early stages, you lose 2 points. Middle stages, you lose 3 points. And in the last couple stages, you lose 4 points, which effectively leaves you with 4 hits to die. Makes the last segments of the game really, really hard. They don't do that anymore because, well, we've since progressed onwards. You know, perhaps in the wrong direction in some regards, but whatever. It is what it is. We're not going to spoil over spilled milk. We've got plenty of time for that. You know, eventually. I get the piece of meat. Then we got like the second most frustrating part, Medusas and Axe Knights. If you had war... Oh, fuck me. It's always a fantastic start. I'm usually a little more collected, but I am tired. So, fucking hell. I'm probably not going to survive the fucking death fight, am I? Because... Ah, 2 Axe Knights. Brilliant. Okay, well, I might as well just, like, I got plenty of hearts. I'm a brain-dead idiot. You got plenty of hearts, you could just whale them with fucking boomerangs. Who cares if it bounces off the shield? Just, like, blap, 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 blap. Now the Grim Reaper. He lands on the floor, sickles will appear. So the key is to keep him from landing on the floor, so he doesn't land any more sickles. And pray I fucking survive. Somehow I survived that one sickle. Oh, brilliant. Excellent. I didn't think I was going to survive that, to be honest with you. I, brutally honest, did not think I was going to survive that, but we get to live to see the final stretch of Castlevania. That makes me very happy. It's been a good run so far, so I can't really complain. For basically a late run, closing in at 3 in the morning, excellent. Now we go on to the final stage, which is a thing that has to be conquered. Always liked this song. Oh, it's our old buddy, the Phantom Bat. Can easily knock you off the bridge and you'd lose all your shit. So try not to. There's a stopwatch there. We're not going to go for that. Because I want to keep my cross. Doing actually pretty well. All the times to fuck up. Nice. Very nice. I am happy. Don't worry, there are plenty of opportunities to fuck up on this level, I guarantee you. We just gotta dispose of a couple of skeletons. Then we got the gears in the clock tower. I guess just mostly gears. Couldn't fit an actual clock tower in this game. Good thing I got this boomerang. Then when I had to jump and stuff. Let's make it through here. No, fuck off. Alright. I'm going down here. No. Okay. No. Oh, fuck you. Fuck off. There we go. And get these cows and the bags. Okay, so all that left is the Count himself. I would normally jump off this cliff and just start fresh, but we're not going to do that. We're actually going to attempt this on the same life. We are going to grind for hearts, because that's the thing we're going to do. And this is going to take a while, so while I'm grinding for hearts, I'll let you look at an old thing that I did years ago, but never posted online because the audio quality is crap. So you can watch that while I'm grinding for hearts. Stand by. Oh, deadly fucking towers, how I have come to loathe thee. Apparently so has many others, it would seem. But for some reason, legend has it that you were once a well-regarded adventure game in your day. There have been times when I would come across videos and essays about how you were a misunderstood and underappreciated classic in the vein of other legendary adventure games on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I would very much like to experience this great adventure in Deadly Towers that others have experienced and enjoyed enough to hold in high regard, but instead I'm playing this pile of shit. The adventures of Prince Meyer venturing to the top of this mountain where he must enter each of the 7 deadly towers while avoiding the invisible traps that would lead him to massive cavernous dungeons that he must navigate his way out of, only to find that these dungeons seem endless and he's just better off avoiding them completely, assuming he's content to just stick with his puny sword coming out of his crotch because the dungeons do contain treasures to aid the prince on this quest. But are they really worth the effort of navigating these dull, monotonous dungeons that give the original Zelda dungeons a run for their rupees? Actually, I should apologize for that. The Zelda dungeons are much better designed efforts than this. Eventually, once Prince Meyer reaches the summit, he must enter the towers, make his way to the top of each tower, kill the boss, claim the bell of each tower, go back down, go to the circle thing to burn the bells. Once all 7 bells are burnt, he must climb back down the mountain to the very beginning where the other gate is now open, and then he could kill the final boss and ultimately wonder why he even bothered with all of this to begin with. So yes, Deadly Towers is a game where you quote-unquote explore this land in search of shops and dungeons that will yield items and stuff that will aid you on your quest to burn the hells of bells, stuff, whether it be stronger weapons and armors and other gimmicks. The problem, of course, is that other than the occasional open door, all these warps and entrances are invisible to the naked eye. So chances are you'll come across these by accident and, well, that ain't fun. The invisible warps are more of a hindrance, and I find myself trying to sidestep these stupid things, which means I'll probably never get those awesome upgrades unless I use a password to get the really good stuff. It eventually got to a point where I stumbled across the key principal problem with all this falling into dungeons and shopping for items and all that jazz. It ended up being a complete and utter waste of time. As it turned out, starting a fresh new game anew, I didn't need to venture into the dungeons in order to get any necessary tools, nor did I need to stumble across invisible warps that led to negative worlds or whatever they're called. With a swift bit of patience, I could traverse through the game's many perilous rooms, climb the towers, defeat the bosses, and accomplish all that with my short-shaped blanks. It would be the gravest challenge ever conceived, so I made my way to the towers with my puny sword that shoots slowly and can only have one shot on screen, making combat a somewhat sluggish and insufferable affair. Prince Meyer has no invincibility frames, resulting in multiple hits being struck and leading to instant death, and he also has rather nasty knockback that could also lead him to falling off a cliff and instant death. Meyer also has trouble moving around, which explains the somewhat stiff and sometimes unresponsive controls. For most, they would have given up long ago and never looked back, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame them. I came close, but continue onwards I do despite my better judgment. I take the time to admire the graphics of Deadly fucking Towers, the prince who looks like a boy, the blobs of something, the bosses of stuff, the bland brick backgrounds and the bland floors, and the occasional flicker that occurs when too much stuff is going on. Just wonderful stuff.
Okay, that's a bit of a lie. The graphics are pretty mediocre, repetitive stuff, much like the audio, the rather unremarkable sound effects, the equally repetitive and headache-inducing music, few tracks of which are not that great. All of these poor presentational bits contribute to veering me off the road to enlightenment, and eventually they do succeed. I'll be perfectly blunt. After a while, about a couple hours, I just said fuck it and looked up a password to get to the very end of the game. So I put in the best password that gave me the best equipment, and sadly it's no better than the crap I had before. Regardless, I enter the final dungeon of sorts, I fight the final boss, and I win. And after all that, did I gain a sense of accomplishment from enduring the experience that was Deadly Towers? Was there any satisfaction to the pain and agony of putting up what was perhaps an excruciatingly frustrating affair? Did playing through the game from beginning to end, more or less at least, made me appreciate Deadly Towers for the misunderstood and underappreciated game that I've heard many others call it? And after all of that, was I wrong about Deadly Towers being an utterly terrible video game? Nope.
Okay, that lasted longer than the actual grind. I apologize for that. Not one of the better things. You can see why it never saw the light of day until now. But, back to our regularly scheduled program. We're off to fight the Count. You will teleport around and shoot fireballs. You aim as his head. This is his only vulnerable spot. And, try to move around as much as possible so he doesn't teleport on top of you and you take a hit that you can't afford to take. And, so far so good, actually. We're doing pretty good. And, shit. Would love to have had him die there, but... Anyways, his head flies off, turns into a big ghost monster, jumps around, shoots fireballs. Low jumps are very difficult to go under. And I've never been able to do it. And, just strike him in his face. That's all you could really do. This is why I have the crosses. Because they get the job done. And we're done! Hey, I feel a lot better. Actually, I'm not. I do feel a lot better. You know? Yeah, I'm a little more relaxed. Now that I'm, yeah. It's late, folks. But hey, we got a good game out of it. My best run of Castlevania, actually. Going through that without dying a single time. That's, like, excellent. I love these credits. Produced by Trans Fishers. Bram Stoker. Music by James Banana. Also made the music for Power Blade. A game from Taito. That'll come along much later. Boris Karloff's. Love Cheney Jr. Harper Sherry. Mick Shrux. Yeah. Green Stranger. Cool. Yep, those are your fake credits. That was Castlevania. And that's the show. I'm done. I'm going to bed. Happy Halloween, belated or otherwise. Good night. I'm off. Later.